Ben ritrovati dopo la pausa rigenerante del buffet. È un piacere presentare l'amico e collega Michele Geronazzo dell'Università di Padova, che ha lavorato recentemente, negli ultimi anni, sullo sviluppo del digital twin sonico insieme a diversi gruppi di ricerca e ci presenta una riflessione importante sull'utilizzo di questa nuova tecnologia e anche formamenti, se lo dico da umanista, che sempre di più dalla produzione industriale al cultural heritage e allo studio specifico degli strumenti musicali e delle prassi musicali ad essi associati sta diventando indispensabile per il futuro di molte discipline. Thank you, Michele, for being here with us, and I give you the floor and join your presentation.
Thanks for the invitation to this workshop. Welcome to this speech. Today we are exploring a fundamental paradigm shift, at least from my point of view, for musical heritage, but not only musical heritage. It's something that could be considered like the transition from Industry 4.0 to the 5.0, and the human centrality from digital twin to entangled teams. I try to do my best and introduce you to this new concept. And and just an initial remark, which is one of the last questions in particular. Massimiliano asked for what's the evaluating process of telling if it's a sound or reconstruction or whatever is natural, is good enough, is too many, let's say, terminological confusions around this, and also on the methodologically. Then this is basically the attractors that move me towards this presentation. This is an ongoing journey. In this case, it's applied to the musical heritage and trying to find a direction, not an answer, to this question: how to explore the intangible nature of musical heritage. And this starts basically of my personal need to engage with complexity. I'm an engineer. I'm teaching computer science courses in a mechatronic degrees, so very hard engineer background. I'm starting quite early to reflect on this tools and simplistic framework that an engineering culture can provide. And I try to arrange, first of all, an inner dialogue on this topic, because most of the engineers feel like superheroes in trying to solve the issues of humanities without simplifying models that actually they didn't tell the inner process of emergence of something. Okay, so this is just the core research question, and it's applied to musical heritage because musical heritage is, let's say, a phenomenon that can be really interested for this kind of reasoning, because it has physical assets, physical artifacts, information around this digital artifact, these tangible artifacts in the digital domain, in the experiential domain. So the complexity arises quite nicely in this case. And of course, it's important to understand this intangibility is linked to the embodied nature of knowledge. Okay, so you can see here, you see the pointer, yeah, great. You have a human body that, of course, interact with an environment. It should be, yeah, it could be questionable. It might, yeah, sorry, I have to like a warning. This might be a heavily terminology-rich presentation, gaining from philosophy, from cognitive science, from computer science. So I would try to do my best to go into some common ground. This is basically the aim of this position and ongoing journey. So we can think about this embodied knowledge as a emergence of meaning through this interactions between the interface, which might be like an instrument, the perceptual feedback gain from the, let's say, the player, the humans. And this is just a phenomenon that actively emerges by playing, by performing. So performing, all of us knows that it's very distinctive part of the, especially in the musical domain. And my aim is to incorporate basically all these aspects and trying to build a theoretical framework out of this complexity in order to try to address the most deep questions in a let's say in a homogeneous and inclusive way. Okay, so let's keep this embodied knowledge as a starting point. The second key aspect is the how can be represented knowledge. How can be represent knowledge? Many, let's say, of the knowledge has been organized in taxonomies, a lot of rigid hierarchical structural organization of knowledge. Probably this rigid taxonomies somehow forced the musical instrument, the musical ideas to be as the inventors of these taxonomies. Maybe it's a collective effort, but just believes in these taxonomies. So embracing a perspective that is more a dynamic knowledge representation. I like to see this representation as a knowledge graph that dynamically evolved through in collecting many heterogeneous perspectives without a forced structure into data, but having flexible schemes, and that can be somehow be the results of this interaction of perspectives. And philosophy, sociologists already thought about this kind of knowledge. I identified Bruno Latour actor-nectar theory as a grounding theory to this kind of interaction of actors within a network. This is this every scientific culture has its own methodologies, and the problem here is to find a way to negotiate among cultures the network. So any methodologies, any cultural aspects, any and then we see the experience can be considered as an actor in this knowledge constitution. So we need to shift our focus from a simple, isolated interaction, very narrowed, to something that the Karen Barad called interaction. So embracing the systemic view of what we are doing, especially as scientists are part of the problem. Okay, we are not observer from something out of this phenomenon. We are the phenomenon itself. Okay, we are an actor in this exploration, and it's quite important when this let's say all this reasoning started, at least for me, because I can identify at least a starting point, which is when we with Stefania, we curated a volume regarding an entire field called sonic interactions in virtual environments. And we tried to trace the ecologies behind a sonic experience. And of course, all the elements can be considered interconnected, but the problem is what's the exact moment where these actors actually build meaning for a discipline. And in this case, the idea of agential cuts, which means forming a perturbance actions, performing, for instance, in the musical domain, is interacting with an instrument, builds what Barat calls an epistemological ontological meaning. So basically, this is quite a fluid vision of some very strict view of philosophy. But in this domain of sonic experiences, my interest grows up. And in particular, I'm very fortunate to look at what's the phenomenology suggests me in this kind of reasoning. So this is quite an important aspect, the intersubjectivity. We are not building knowledge alone. We have, especially while playing, we have our personal experience, experts that have their own experience, and naive people, naive listeners have also their perspectives, and all these experiences are anchored to a spatial temporal domain, which is egocentric by construction. So this basically imprints a unique identity in the experience and in the environment. And the important thing is how to navigate this intersubjectivity of perspectives. So I came up with a very, let's say, visually simple representation of what an experience might be, an experience with technology might be. And this is because of my involvement in creating illusion, digital illusion of virtual reality and augmented reality. So I don't want to bother you with the formalism of what is the HEIS framework. So there are many discussions about what are the space, what could look like a space of experience. I came up with some sort of tools for designer to try to visualize dynamically the relationship within the actors of a network, in order to try to grasp the crucial point of co-adaptation between actors. These are basically two perspectives: one of the user, of a player, and one is related to the sensor. So you can actually use a post-phenomenological lens to this. So this means that, yeah, you have human centrality because of the subjectivity of the player, but you can adapt the framework to any actors, which means non-human actors, to the same sharing co-constitution of knowledge. So in this case is a representation of the egocentric perspective of a sensor. And this can, of course, the challenge here is to how to match these perspectives in a unified vision of this entanglement of actors. So going a bit on let's try to, because I want to focus on the concept of simulation, because in this case I'm a computer scientist. So the first thing that came up to my mind is to simulate things with the digital power. And And then during my academic journey, I realized that simulation usually occurs more often than in computer science. So starting from, of course, the simulation of reality towards the simulation of the decision making, simulation of biases in making decision from neuroscience and cognitive sciences, towards something that is more related to the simulation of the potential of the persuasive potential of a dialogue, a technology, and whatever that are made, the assumptions are made on simulation of what actually be the output of all this, let's say, areas that shares the same, let's say, approach on simulation. And simulation also has something that is extremely powerful. So we can transform uncertainty in exploration paths. This is actually what we are doing with our mind to decide what's the next step, what's the next decision we can do time by time, like the predictive modeling of our mind. So this is quite important because it could serve as an epistemological laboratory for any exploration. And the concept that is close enough to a complex simulation that is nowadays is used quite often is the digital twin paradigm. The digital twin, of course, is also the title of this afternoon session. So it's trying to understand if the digital twin paradigm suits okay, sorry, I touched the wrong button. So is the digital twin a proper paradigm to face complexity? We see here like a very hierarchical representation, which is proper of engineeristic way of doing, okay, that try to interact somehow with, for instance, a human. And this interactions makes a lot of pain for engineers because humans are unpredictable and their structural knowledge is not enough to having a proper interaction. So the problem here is what could be done to overcome this problem. So in 2024, I introduced this definition for entangled twins. So we have a user, we have a digital twin, not of the user, but it's the digital twin of the systemic experience of a user, of a person. Sorry, I called it user because I'm a computer scientist, and it's too I can't change the name to persona, or for me it started as users and it still remain in my mind. I have to force myself to call it in a different way. But the user is itself an actor in this an actor in this network, and this is the plural is the key part probably of this formalism, because there's no exist a human user and his or her digital twin, but they are a systemic entangled twins. So we need to look at the complexity as a relational co-adaptation between knowledge, digital technologies, whatever non-human actors you envisioned, and some subjectivities, human subjectivities. And this is quite important and relevant, this guy here, the relational mirror, that allows us to diffract the process of exploring and orienting the evolution of a system. So this kind of formalism basically shift 4 categories: agency, With digital twin, we tend to assign a lot of agency to the human system. With entangled twins, the agency is distributed among actors. We have most of the time with the digital twin control theory that is the let's say the common way to command and the interaction. In the entangled twins paradigms, there's a collaboration with humans and machines. The goal is not optimization or prediction, but is orientation and growth. And we are not aiming to replica, but we are aiming to build meaning. So this is quite a big step towards the new way of finding the technologies and new methodologies. The challenges are, of course, three. These are the last three things that I want to say. We need to find a way to represent heterogeneous and sparse data. We don't have like the data representations that is enough to describe a phenomenon by all the levels of details that encompasses. And we need software that can adapt rapidly and very fluently to multiple perspectives. So you see here, I basically thought about what is also in the nowadays the main focus for many companies, the agentic AI and the swarm of agents that needs some orchestration to extract meaning of something. Okay, but I want to conclude this talk about this theme, which is called formative heritage. This theoretical framework is inherently performative. Knowledge can be extracted only by forming some actions in the system. And so many questions can be, let's say, arise from this perspective, because we need to consider the especially with technology, the relationship with technology, the trade-off between the accuracy and responsiveness. We can't have ultra super accurate systems without losing something, at least up to now. And this is the second point is quite crucial. Every interaction designer involved in a project to extract knowledge, especially for music, immersive music experience or reconstruction, inherently intentions on it. And you need to take into account such an intentions of the design action, and you can quantify such an intention. And the embodied nature of knowledge pose a very delicate question, a point that the musical assets don't have an understanding without someone that try to understand. And this is quite constructivism view of knowledge, I know, but it poses many questions to the next generation of computational frameworks. And I think that it's enough for my time, right?
Thank you, Michele, for this very deep, thought, entangled presentation. I am rather struck by something that we as musicologists have been debating for quite a long time, because we didn't find a good way of expressing ourselves. But performative heritage is something that I like quite a lot, because it means that it's not only cultural, that we need to have this kind of complex interaction between different agents in order to bring the meaning to a level of significance that it's not only historically based or historically produced, but it's oriented into the future. And maybe we should have a go on our own systems of defining aspects that for us are crucial, and have another discipline to illuminate what for us is so difficult to express. And this is again a way in which synergy is really creating new paths for reorganizing the knowledge. Any comments or feedback or questions from the audience here and in the Digiverse?
Thank you. I really loved your presentation, and I completely agree that the user experience is the musical instruments and the gestures, the behavior, to feel engaged in a rhythm with your body, with your mind, with your intention in emotion, and this is shared by the musician himself and the public. They are really engaged together, and I think this is part of the intangible value of the performative heritage. I really appreciate a lot, and we would like also in our project to create an atlas of gestures that are connected to the musical heritage, because this kind of relation is different depending on the musical genre, the audiences, the space, and it's different from classical music and pop music, for instance, or rock music. Each kind of genre has a specific behavioral protocol, let's say, or so really, thanks.
Thanks for the comment. I'm just because the problem, or at least something that to my experience as a computer scientist and engineer, and facing with the complexity, I've noticed that the term protocols somehow is an obstacle to facing complexity. And I'm not just to comment a bit on this, because this view of the entanglement between systemic entanglements requires a continuous negotiation of communication standards. So basically, there are no standards, no protocol, no need of protocol. So of course, again, it's mainly theoretical. Yeah, it's going to be a long journey. But I think that the main obstacle is to remove the static part of our thoughts, our intentions, in order to embrace the dynamic of a network that probably we can't understand.
Michele, do you have a finger? No? No? Qualche altro commento? I have a question. We need to have a great faith in technology, but technology is so quick in changing and in providing us with new tools that the obsolescence of what we consider to be cutting edge technology and computational system is becoming very difficult to address. Do you think that we are going to experience something even faster in the coming years? So a scientific project that starts now in 2026, how could it end in 2031?
This is a
how
question.
Is there any strategy that it could sort of suggest in order to reduce and minimize the risk of using. Because one solution that has been adopted by many projects is open source and link open data and creating a big infrastructure for cultural heritage so that somebody will take care of what you are doing after you're done or while you are doing, and it will be constantly updated. But it's just only part of the picture. As a theoretician, do you say something else happening, or is that it?
It's a very hard question. I would say that open source get the process faster and faster than we are saying. We are seeing in has it happening in with machine learning, deep learning models. The dominant developmental model for simulation is open source nowadays, which means that everyone can contribute to accelerating the process. And I think that you can end your project in 2031 if you focus on something that is extremely hard for AI to accomplish, which is human experience. So this is an easy answer, but we can say that avoiding all the discussion about consciousness of AI, but the human experience is the one that actually add something on the table. Okay. So if your target as a project is the computational side of thing, probably is quite a risky project.
Thank you.